It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And you guys, right now, we have Sean Spicer, former White House press secretary, joining us here on Katz and Cosby. Sean, first, let's get your reaction to President Biden, the sitting president of the United States, saying clear as day that, Trump supporters are garbage.
Good to be with you guys. Look, I don't think it's a stretch. He's made it very clear. He ran in 2016 because he didn't like Donald Trump. He was opposed to Donald Trump. And then he said he was running for re-election because of Donald Trump. So the idea that he didn't mean it just doesn't pass the smell test, right? So that's number one. Number two, and I think both of you guys will get this better than anyone because of your histories in the media. But what I thought was hysterical is Tim Walz was pre-booked on ABC's Good Morning America this morning. He gets on, and the first thing that George Stephanopoulos says to him is Republicans are seizing on comments as if we did something bad or wrong. It's like for 72 hours, every Republican had to account for a comedian who told a bad joke 4 hours before President Trump spoke. And here we have – and then, by the way, Stephanopoulos followed it up by saying, do you think that he, Biden, stepped on her message? Not do you denounce it, not should he apologize on it, not do you have to apologize for it, but do you think he stepped on your message? So it was okay to call 75 million people garbage. I mean, it just shows you the double standard, the hypocrisy, and the complicity of today's media. So I know that people would say, you guys know this, but I think continuing to point it out is something that we need to do so that people fully appreciate the length and breadth and depth of how in the tank this media is for Harris. I don't think it will matter. But I don't think it's surprising, getting back to your first question, Rita, that what President Biden said. This is what he feels. This is what Harris feels. This is what most, Harris folks feel. They look and despise people who could possibly vote.
Well, you know what? And Sean, I look back. I mean, I think about the basket of deplorables comment by Hillary Clinton. That was September 2016. How about Peter Strzok? Remember that guy who said, I'm walking into a Walmart and I can smell the Trump supporters. Rudy Washington's nodding his head because that was so despicable. Obama, clinging to their guns and their religion. And the other thing I found today, Sean, I saw some of the interview with Walz. He also was asked about it. He did not denounce it. That was disgraceful. He had an opportunity to denounce it. And instead he said, well, we believe a different thing. I mean, as opposed to there's something despicable about saying it.
That's my point, though, Rita. Exactly what you're saying, which is these guys get off. They don't. Everybody said, will Trump denounce this? Or he apologized for it. Puerto Ricans are going nuts about this. And yet here we are. The president, not a comedian, the president of the United States says 75 plus million Americans are garbage. And they're not even asked about it. I mean, it's disgusting how horrible the media is. And I'm glad President Trump handles it the way he does, which is he's going on Rogan, the Nelk Boys, Patrick Bet-David. He is creating a home for conservative media to flourish. And I think that's a great thing.
Judge Weinberg.
Sean, good to talk to you again. Let me ask you a question. Isn't this consistent with the final messaging of the Harris campaign, after all? That everybody who supports them are fascists or semi-fascists or totalitarians, and they want to lock everybody up? And didn't she say last night in her remarks, didn't she say that he has an enemies list that he's going to go after? I mean, and this is the woman who also claimed the same speech. She's going to unite the country. Will you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, if I could explain it to you, Judge, I'd be in a bad place. But I will say you're right, that this is what they want to close with. People ask me all the time, do you think that's a winning message? And I'll say to them, do you realize they don't have any other message? This is all they have left. This is an abortion because they can't talk about the economy. They can't talk about border. They can't talk about, helping small businesses or helping businesses grow and prosper because their policies are horrible. And Trump can get up there and I think you talk about a closing message, both what he said at Madison Square Garden, where you guys are, and these final ads that he has out. He can just say, look, you know my record. You know what I did as president. If you like it, vote for me. If you don't, vote for them. It's so simple. It's so easy. And I think that's what's going to enamor more and more voters to vote for him because.
Sean, this is Rudy Washington. This morning, former President Trump said he believes that Biden likes him better than he likes Kamala Harris.
It was a sabotage.
Well,
do you blame him?
Listen, but we're kind of laughing, but it's kind of true.
Yes, it is. It's kind of true.
I think
because the other people really did him in before he, he didn't even realize what was happening, and he got what do you call it?
Shivved.
He got shivved. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Brutus.
There you go. Well, the thing is, though, they don't want her to win.
This is a coup on the United States, a coup on the United States of America, and none of the newspapers is saying anything. That they pushed this man out because they didn't like him, and they substituted him.
Yeah, but they also feel the Biden team feels very disrespected by Kamala. They don't like the fact that she hasn't played him any deference. I mean, think about this. How embarrassing was that? There's an event last night on the National Mall. Feet. He literally could look out and see it. He was like, "Hey, Joe, what's all the lights going on the National Mall for?" She was like, "Oh, don't worry, Joe. Have dinner." And that's the problem is it was embarrassing that they couldn't and didn't invite him. How do you say – first of all, do you guys remember this? At the convention, all these people were like, what does it say that Mitt Romney isn't at the convention? And everyone, the president of the United States wasn't 10 feet from her event, and no one brought up. I'm watching B-roll of this on the news media as we talk. You can see in the windows of the White House, he was watching, and they wouldn't let him come down.
Yeah, and he keeps saying, I'm available. I mean, his team has literally publicly said, I'm available. Just tell us when you need us. And the message is, we'll get back to you.
I hear the infighting is fierce.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, yeah. It's. I think shiv was the right political shivving. I mean, this is old school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I understand, Sean, 55 million people have voted already. What is your prediction amount of people? What do you think?
Well, look. For people who don't follow this closely, Republicans normally don't do well in early vote. They just don't. We're conditioned to vote on Election Day. And you take a state like Pennsylvania, Trump was down about 1.3 million votes going into Election Day last year. He got 1.1, 1.15, whatever. And what this says to me now is that we are out there in force. When you look at a state like Nevada, Trump is up in the early vote. That is bad news for them. Does it mean we're going to win 100%? No. But I'm telling you, it's sort of like, watching, the first couple innings of a game, and we're just getting on base, and they're not. And I think, does that mean you're going to win the game? No, you still got a couple innings to play, so we got to keep our foot on the gas. But I'm telling you, if you talk to Democrats right now, they're bitter, they're angry, they're pissed. Republicans are joyful and happy because we know that we're on the ascent. Every single poll, John, go to Real Clear Politics, minus Michigan, which I think is sort of it's a logistical issue in terms of what poll came in when, but every other state, Trump is leading in every single one of them, but not just leading, because those things are static. They're a snapshot. Look at the trend in every state, and even in the Senate races, whether it's Mike Rogers in Michigan or Herrick Abdi in Wisconsin or Dave McCormick or even Kerry Lake in Arizona, every Republican is moving more and more into a winning position.
Yep.
I don't know that everyone gets over the finish line, but I'm going to tell you this right now. We are moving in the right direction.
And guess who we have on next? We have Susan Crabtree with Real Clear Politics coming right after you.
Well, she'll know.
Sean, thank you. We love having you here. We got to have you back on again soon.
Thank you, Sean.
You bet.